If you're looking for a simple, more user-friendly, enjoyable way to play Victoria 3, then look no further. These are my 5 must-have mods for Vic 3, and they cover not just changes to the user interface, but also to the backend, the AI and the economy. But don't worry, I'll walk you through it. Let's go through together. It's starting with timecards below with my first one, which you've probably already seen. You can see 4 out of 5 of them on your screen throughout the early stages of this video. This is the extra toolbar info, and as the name would suggest, it adds an extra toolbar up here, starting with prestige. You can also quickly see your infamy, useful if you might, expel some diplomats, take some territories. You can get a quick gaze on that and how it's changing over time. Also valuable for a fractured state, potentially, or a nation forming, is legitimacy. Moving along, you have convoys. I find this one particularly useful if I'm reliant on trade or trying to collect a colonial empire together. Flotillas and, of course, battalions and conscripts make up the final selection. It's really handy to have all of this information just there on display, and while I'll admit it could potentially be a little bit overwhelming with everything up there from your literacy to your radicals, convoys, and of course, up the top, you can also see your research there too, taking a key place up next to your bank balance and your influence. Overall, this is a really simple, easy install on the Steam Workshop, and I'd highly recommend. Although perhaps not quite as much as I would recommend the second entry on our list. This mod here is simply called Visual Methods, and it does exactly what it says on the box. As you can see by taking a look at these bakeries, or as we move through maybe the textile mills, you can see that the inputs or outputs that are required are displayed with a little picture. And of course, when you hover over it, you get the full information, right? You get the likes of the kind of impact it'll have on your economy, on the price of the good, all that kind of thing. But this is a really simple way to see complex information fast. And as you can see, the more complicated things get, perhaps the easier this will make it. However, of course, I acknowledge that visual methods might not be for everybody. I know that there are different learning styles, and it may not be for you, but the addition of a couple of simple changes like that to the user interface, I think, make a massive difference to Victoria 3. Speaking of which, our third entry onto the list, adding even more to this wonderful ensemble, is the improved building grid mod. And if you haven't already caught a glimpse of it earlier in the video, this essentially overhauls the entire building menu. And given that Victoria 3 is an economic simulator, if you're not dealing with the geopolitics and the geopolitical economy, you're probably dealing with your domestic one at home, and outside of changing a few laws, you're going to be in the building screen. Now, what this does is it immediately shows you the profitability of a building, its expenses, and the wages that are being paid into it. You can see it in real time, of course, and likewise for profits, right? Income taxes, poll taxes, that kind of thing, employment, and crucially also some quick actions. So you can quickly choose to do things like subsidize or upgrade. It's important to note that there are a couple of other honorable mentions that haven't made it into this video, but could also slide in here as nice accompanying mods. There are a few others that change the construction queue, the build queue, as well as the building interface. Or of course, you could look to a more overhaul change mod, which I have a few videos on already inside of this playlist if you'd like to see those, and I'll talk a little bit more about them at the end of the video. So we'll park that conversation here for now, looking at these wonderful overlays and seeing the mods tie together as we look at number 4, Anbeeld's AI Rework. This one is, of course, harder to visualize, so you're going to watch it play out as I struggle to unite Italy here. Poor Italy. However, there is one key thing that it changes even before a game begins. So if you didn't catch it at the introduction of this video, I'm going to throw it back up onto your screen now. These are the interesting new game rules that this AI rework introduces. Alongside a few other things, it adds these rules. For example, the construction points is kind of like a difficulty setting. It controls the amount of construction points that the AI countries want from 50 to 100%, lower values slowing their growth, or higher values artificially increasing their construction efficiency and making them stronger. The research simulation rule does a similar thing. It's a system that allows the AI but instead to focus actually more on crucial technologies without cheating. It's important to note. You can change this from a default mode, which only helps with stuff like nationalism for Germany or Italian states. You can change it to railroaded, which ensures that countries without universities, academia, and railway technologies will prioritize them first. There are a load of interesting rule set changes, as you can see, 5 in total, from the very start of the game that can help you fine-tune the difficulty here. Not just, of course, on their construction side, but also on their strength side as well. The mod overall offers a really fantastic, if not slightly wordy, description on the Steam Workshop as well, which I think we should take a look at in a minute. Because, of course, it's not just the changes that we can see and those options that I've already showed you. The mod is really about affecting the AI economy. The vanilla algorithm in Victoria 3 for constructing buildings is suppressed in this mod in favor of a fully custom script, which heavily improves the economic development of the AI, which we've sort of talked a little bit about already with those option settings, right? Allowing the AI to kind of prioritize perhaps what it ought to prioritize and maybe what it might do if it was a human player sitting behind the hot seat. Anyway, the mod maker goes on to talk a little bit about how economic development of the AI countries ends up playing out in them having a much higher GDP and SOL, which we'll look at in a little bit. The same script is also used to provide us as players an auto build feature that we can enable in the Decisions tab. The Decisions tab playing a slightly more important role, although it should never be overlooked. It does other things as well, like controlling levels of tax and government wages that the AI countries get, other improvements to their choice of production methods, alongside a few other things. This AI revision is really fantastic, and apart from me just telling you about what it does and showing you a little about it, there is also some evidence. Important to note, it is, by the looks, 1, maybe 2 minor patches old. But you can see by what the mod makers present on the Steam Workshop just how this mod plays out over time, right? Because of course, changes to the AI are really important, but you won't notice it straight away, like some of the other visual changes that you can see on your screen and that we've talked about already. So, after, let's say, 50, 60 years of gameplay, this is what the simulation might look like. And you can see the changes, again dated back to a slightly older version, in the year 1890. This is, of course, countries ranked by how much moolah they've got. And you'll notice overall, the world is much, much richer. You can see the wealthiest nation, incredibly so. But you'll also notice a distribution change. Completely different nations in different places. And that goes to show the impact that this mod can have without really forcing the AI to cheat, which is perhaps a very easy way to scale difficulty. So kudos to the mod maker for fine-tuning it in this way. And despite Paradox already paying some attention to it with official patches, it's just not quite good enough for me. So my 5th and final entry in this video, number 5, it's visible pop needs. This one, again, as the name suggests, as the label suggests on the box, visualizes what populations need. Here you can see a food industry and the different types of pops, capitalists, shopkeepers. Important to note, of course, that these people are literally the gears that are churning the economy, but also they have political interest groups as well. So there are ramifications stretching far and wide. But if we focus in core on their needs here a little bit more, maybe by heading actually over to the population tab and having a look at the different stratas in society, you can get a really good, quick, easy feel for what they're producing and how much they're over or under paying for it. So if we take the lower strata, you can see their number one good is grain. It makes up 22.2% of their spend, and it's currently overpriced in our market, as reflected by that orange 13%, by, you guessed it, 13%. As we look through, we can maybe cater to different needs, different populations. Or, of course, we can address problems at their source. Wheat and clothing both look like goods that everybody was buying, go figure, everybody was using, go figure, and everybody was paying far too much for inside of my economy. Regular viewers might also add a go figure after that last one as well. But the important thing here is that it just allows you to really easily address these needs, even if you don't want to delve into the politics of it, trying to perhaps bolster up a certain interest group, make it so that the things that they're buying are cheap and easily accessible. What do you know? The servicemen get great deals on everything they want to buy. Even if you steer clear of that side of thing, this is a wonderful visual overhaul, and I think it ties together nicely the other visual overhauls that we've discussed in this video. As I mentioned earlier, there are some greater reworks that combine all of these mods and potentially change the very world of Victoria 3. But the focus of this video have been simple, quick, easy changes that beginners looking for a guide to Victoria 3 or more experienced players can easily integrate into their playthroughs and hopefully have a more user-friendly and enjoyable experience. There's a playlist fully with this video and many other deep dives into mods if you want more Victoria 3 mod spotlights. And until next time, everybody, I'll see you then. Take care.